Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. In today's video, we'll discuss why brown shoes are one of the most versatile options for your wardrobe, when you should and shouldn't wear them, and how these supposed rules came to be. By the way, today's video is an update to a piece that we produced all the way back in 2015. We wanted to make sure that we were bringing it to you in our highest standards of quality, but if you're interested in looking at the original video, you can find it in the description below. An elegant pair of black shoes is a timeless choice for any man's wardrobe, getting him from job interviews to business meetings, and from cocktails to even more formal events. But outside of white-collar working environments or hardcore traditional settings, black shoes can actually be limiting for classic clothing enthusiasts. After all, it is actually possible to spoil an outfit with black shoes. See what I mean? Of course, there are many other alternatives to consider when selecting non-black footwear, but it can be challenging to know how best to pair footwear in colors like green, blue, or indigo. So, while we certainly encourage experimentation with less commonly seen shoe colors, we also want you to be able to master what is perhaps the most versatile option in footwear. We're talking, of course, about brown shoes. Chances are you probably own at least a couple of pairs of brown shoes, if not several more. But do you know why it is that brown shoes were more or less quietly outlawed for over a century? And are you leveraging them as well as you could be in your own wardrobe? Today's video will dive into those answers and more, and we'll start here by examining one of the oldest supposed rules in the menswear book, No Brown in Town. I tell ya, if I had a nickel for every time I've heard that one, I could afford to buy a shoe collection as vast as Raphael's. One note here as we get started: if you're not crazy about menswear history like we are, just use YouTube's chapter function to jump ahead in the video. Firstly, what makes No Brown in Town such an interesting rule is that for many centuries before it came into widespread use, shoes and boots were actually available in a wide spectrum of colors. But the No Brown in Town rule, and those who still commonly cite it, seem to feel that there are really only two colors for proper dress shoes: brown and black. Where does this idea come from, then? Well, we have to look at the origins of the modern-day dress shoe, which are in earlier dress boots. From the mid-1700s to the late 1800s, tall, sleek boots made of black leather were all the rage. For a pop culture example of this, you can see the costumes used in the hit stage show Hamilton, which takes place during this time period. Not a brown boot in sight. And thanks to trendsetters of the day like Beau Brummel, who famously adopted a more minimalist wardrobe, basically all men were wearing black boots almost exclusively in the decades leading up to the 1900s. At this time in history, social rules and conventions were far more strict, and there was a greater degree of stratification based upon class, income level, and the social circles with which one interacted. This meant that wealthy men could afford to have several different pairs of footwear in their wardrobe, prioritizing black boots, and later shoes, for work in the city, and only having to wear brown boots, and later shoes, for more rural outings in the countryside. And in addition to the city and country divide, black footwear was exclusively worn in the evening, and brown footwear was more commonly worn in the daytime. Meanwhile, men of lesser means would likely only to be able to afford one or two pairs of footwear in their smaller wardrobes, and given that they'd be traveling between city and country less, they would probably go simply with black boots or shoes, as these could be worn in either setting in a pinch. And they were easier to maintain, as you don't have to worry about specific color matching when you're polishing black shoes. On that note, though, wearing brown shoes in the country does make a good deal of sense, as not only would the occasional mud splatter blend in better on the background of a brown shoe, but also these brown color tones harmonized better with the natural surroundings. And this wasn't just a stylistic benefit, but also a practical one, as traditional countryside pursuits like hunting and shooting required a bit of camouflage, and brown accomplished this better than black. And the practicality of brown shoes in the country also links to the creation of one of the most popular styles for brown shoes, brogues. These were originally quite utilitarian shoes, with the holes designed to drain out excess moisture from the bogs occupied by peat farmers. These muddy surroundings further cemented the idea that country shoes should be brown. As the 1920s and 30s rolled on, conventions were still strict, but began loosening a bit with an increased interest in leisure activities. This focus on leisure and sporting saw the advent of new shoe styles like saddle shoes and spectators, and saw an overall refinement of brown shoes in general. But rationing as part of the war effort in the 1940s meant that it became unpatriotic to spend lots of money on several pairs of shoes, so practicality again took supremacy over style. By this point, though, brown shoes were becoming the more typical choice for day wear, and black shoes were set aside and left for special occasions. So, coming out of the war period and into the 1950s, many were now accustomed to seeing brown shoes more often and in a wider variety of settings. Therefore, the no brown in town rule was quickly fading away, with a greater emphasis on individual style and the particular outfit as a whole. And of course, by the peacock revolution of the 1960s and 70s, wearing brown dress shoes with a classic ensemble was hardly seen as a significant offense. So, from that point on, brown shoes have only continued to increase in popularity. But other than being an option besides black, just why should you wear them? While there are many arguments to be made for why you should wear brown shoes, we think they can be best summarized in these 3 reasons, starting with versatility. Simply put, brown shoes just pair well with a great many items of clothing, and we'll discuss how in a minute. But unlike dour black or other bolder color choices, brown is usually the easiest to pair with the widest amount of other color tones, harmonizing well with various shades across the color wheel. This is great for those who can't or don't want to invest in a large variety of footwear, as brown is going to give you the greatest amount of versatility, at least depending on the type of shoe. This then brings us to reason number 2, variety. Footwear comes in many shapes and forms. After all, you've got Oxfords, Darbys, Blouchers, loafers, moccasins, monk straps, lazymans.
Many unbearable hours later.
Make any of these shoes in the color black, and only a menswear enthusiast is likely to notice the details or differences in style. The layman is usually just going to see black shoes. But if the same style of shoes is made in brown, even those uninitiated to the world of classic menswear are at least more likely to notice the differences in style. Essentially, because most brown tones are lighter than black, it makes it easier to see the detailing on any given pair of brown shoes. This means that both you and those around you will get to enjoy the quirks and nuances of the various pairs of shoes in your wardrobe. And this brings us nicely on to our 3rd reason here, patina and personality. While black solidly represents one extreme end of the grayscale, no 2 pairs of brown shoes are going to be exactly the same in shade. And this is especially true when applied to the natural materials used in shoe manufacturing. Unlike black, brown develops with age, whether this is through the use of different colors of wax and cream polishes, or through natural aging by exposure to different lighting, temperatures, and climates. Brown will develop its own natural patina. This means that the longer you own it, the more a pair of brown shoes truly becomes yours. And on the flip side, it can also be an exciting component of searching for used or second-hand brown shoes. So, now that we've hopefully convinced you that you absolutely should wear brown shoes, let's get into when and where you can wear them. As to when you can wear brown shoes, the answer is anytime. Well, okay, almost anytime. For more useful advice here, though, we've identified 3 formalities where brown shoes are not only acceptable, but encouraged. Of course, there are many other opportunities to buff up a pair of brown shoes, so we'd love to hear your ideas in the comments below. First up here are business suits. While traditionalists will still insist on wearing black shoes with business suits, the reality is that brown shoes are acceptable with suits 99% of the time in business settings in the 21st century. And to be clear, we're not saying that you shouldn't wear black shoes with business suits, as they're still going to be an acceptable and appropriate choice most of the time as well. But it should be said that as the world we live in is getting more casual all the time, considering that you can incorporate brown shoes into your business suit looks will give you a greater variety of styles to pursue and make assembling your daily business wardrobe more interesting. As to the right pair of brown shoes to wear with business suits, though, you're going to want to aim for darker brown tones with subtle patinas. Meanwhile, skip lighter tones like tan, and also steer clear of sportier styles like spectators, for example. Overall, the same color and detailing rules apply to your business shoes as they do to your business suits. That is to say, darker tones and more conservative styling are going to be more appropriate in a wider variety of traditional business settings. When it comes to shoe styles here, you're going to want to stick to the classics like Oxfords, Darbys, and perhaps a monk strap with minimal lines and cap toes or plain toes. Moving down a bit in formality from business suits, we come next to everyday or casual suits. And once you get out of the world of dark and conservative business suits in fine worsted wool, then brown shoes can really shine. Man, these puns are writing themselves at this point. When it comes to suits in lighter tones, relaxed fabrics, and more playful stylings, you'll have the full spectrum of brown shoes available at your disposal. So, whether it's tweed, flannel, linen, fresco, or anything else, brown shoes are a shoe-in here. Okay, I'll stop now. Medium brown tones are going to be the most versatile and visually pleasing option here, and when it comes to shoe styles, you'll harmonize best with the formality of these suits by going with loafers or monk straps with smart last shapes. With that said, though, you could also go for a laced shoe style here for something a bit more conservative, or conversely, for more personality, you could add broguing or a bolder patina. And we'll step down in formality again to come to our third main category where you can wear brown shoes: odd combinations. By odd, of course, we simply mean non-matching, and the reality here is that this can be extended to multiple different formality levels. So, we're not just talking about things like sport coats and odd trousers, but also ensembles with chinos and overshirts, or perhaps even denim and a leather jacket. And regardless of the formality that suits you best, odd combinations are a great time to try incorporating lighter shades of brown and tan into your footwear. And you can try out more casual styles as well. Think of things like boat shoes, woven loafers, or chukka boots, for instance. Essentially, these choices are at the most casual end of the footwear spectrum, so you can also incorporate other types of leather finishing. Think of things like suede and nubuck here. So, it's safe to say that brown shoes can be applied to a wide range of clothing choices to make for some wonderful outfits. But, of course, there are also a few scenarios when you shouldn't wear brown shoes. Frankly here, there's really only one situation where brown shoes should never be worn, and that's with the most formal of dress codes: black tie, white tie, and morning wear. Simply put, these dress codes are at a much higher level of formality than even a business suit setting, so you should apply the utmost amount of detail in assembling your outfits. In order to ensure that your footwear is blending seamlessly in formality with the rest of your outfit, then, you should stick to patent leather or highly polished calfskin footwear in black. And even for potentially confusing evening dress codes like creative black tie or black tie optional, it's usually best to err on the side of caution and wear black shoes here as opposed to brown. As we've said many times before, it's always better to be slightly overdressed than embarrassingly underdressed. Aside from this, brown shoes might not work with formal suiting looks, but only sometimes. To make sure that the formality level and color harmonization of your footwear is on point with the rest of your outfit, brown shoes shouldn't be worn with dark, conservative business suits on the grayscale. Granted, we think that black suits aren't very versatile to begin with, but if you are wearing one, black shoes are pretty much a must. Black shoes also look best with dark charcoal gray suits, but even then, the case can be made for oxblood or dark chocolate brown as equally acceptable pairing choices. And while traditionalists argue that only black shoes should be worn with navy blue suits, we think that dark brown shoes complement them well also. After all, blue and brown are natural pairing partners throughout the world of menswear. But for even more information on how to pair shoes and boots with different kinds of business suits, you can take a look at this video. The only other time that brown shoes should be left at home, then, is when it's explicitly stated in a dress code. Whether it's a formal cocktail party or a semi-formal event, or your business requires black shoes to be worn, then you should stick to these guidelines. Essentially, just read the room and respect the dress code. With all this said, then, we're curious to hear how you styled brown shoes in your wardrobe. Let us know in the comments below. And while today's video has been a comprehensive overview of the world of brown shoes, don't forget to check out the associated article on the Gentleman's Gazette website by taking a look at the link in the video description for even more information. Plus, you can also find some tips and tricks to make sure that you're harmonizing your pants, socks, and shoelaces with your brown shoes like a pro. In today's video, I am, of course, wearing a pair of brown shoes. In this case, because I'm wearing a casual outfit good for spending some time outdoors in the Minnesota summer, these shoes are medium brown suede loafers from the brand Velasca. Their casual nature is reinforced by their styling details, as even though they do have a hard sole, they're otherwise very softly constructed, almost built like moccasins. The rest of my outfit is relatively simple, and we'll start here with my short-sleeved sport shirt in a gingham pattern of white and light blue, and featuring an informal button-down collar. In the outdoor footage you're seeing, I'm of course wearing my trusty coconut straw pork pie hat from Stetson. My trousers are in a taupe shade somewhere between brown and gray, and my socks are from Fort Belvedere. More specifically, they're in our range of two-tone solids, in this case in light blue and midnight blue to harmonize with the blue tones in my shirt. And again, you can see just how well blue and brown pair together. And speaking of blue tones, it's only natural that my fragrance choice today from the Roberto Ugolini collection is Azzurro. This fragrance has a light and effervescent quality that works particularly well in warm weather settings. So you can find the socks that I'm wearing in today's video, along with a wide array of other classic men's accessories, and the Roberto Ugolini fragrance collection by taking a look at the Fort Belvedere shop here.